Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football, another episode that we have for our Draft Prospect Show. I'm Harper LaBelle, and with me today is Vincent Turner, our co-founder and co-host. And Vincent, today we get to talk about one of these guys that I think everybody will recognize. He was obviously a mainstay for the Michigan Wolverines last year when they win that national championship. Even though he's only a junior right now, the odds are more than 99% that he's going to come out and be a part of the draft this year. And why wouldn't you? At 6'3", 315 pounds, when you run the 40 in 4.9, somewhere in that region right there, he's got 46 tackles this year, 3.5 sacks. Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of the University of Michigan, has all the upside potential that you would want to be a day one high draft pick. Vincent, first and foremost, welcome to the show, and thank you for selecting this young man. As soon as we talked about it, I go, yep, it's about time we bring this guy up, because as a celebrity from the defensive line standpoint, he certainly has a lot of that. But as an athlete, as a player, he certainly has all of that and more.
Very excellent football player. Plays at a prestigious school, Prestige, as our former guest Mike Ken elaborated when he was a guest at the University of Michigan. End of this year, his draft status really went up as a defensive tackle. A lot of people had him as the top-rated tackle, but 7 tackles against Ohio State, his most impressive game in his career. What more can you say? A guy that's 6'3", 318, as you mentioned, 315. I call him Mr. Penetration. You look at his game film, look like he's always in the backfield. Reminds me of a guy when I was a true freshman at the University of Arkansas, Dan Hampton. Got that same type of feel to him. A much bigger guy than Mr. Hampton when he came out of college in 1978 and went first overall in the 1979 draft. But what more can you say about the young man? Comes from a school that's got a lot of great defensive players. Lamar Woodley, Chris Hutchinson, Aiden Hutchinson's father, along with Aiden, Curtis Greer, Charles Woodson. He's one of the best defensive players that's ever came out of the University of Michigan, Hawk.
Yeah, let's look at some of the things that he does well in terms of the positives that he has. Is his pass rush, his ability to get into the backfield and create havoc in between the guards. That's obviously something that any team at any time would want to have, especially on the pass side of it. But he's a run stopper as well. There are some negatives that he has. I mean, there's a couple of things that people say about whether or not his hips or his ankles are athletic enough for him. Hey, he's big, he's strong, and he's fast. And he does a great job of dominating when he's in there. Sometimes he over pursues on zone runs where he goes a little bit further than he needs to, and a runner will cut back against the grain. That's been something, and occasionally he'll stutter step, but his ability to take on a double team and basically stop both of them, which is it's a dream come true for a linebacker, because it keeps one of those big bodies off of you and allows you to go and make a play. He could be one of those types of guys that his value defensively goes up astronomically because of that one ability for him to occupy offensive linemen and keep them from getting up to the next level. He's great against double teams on occasion where he gets through them. He'll spin out of one and be able to fight off that particular. But in terms of his pass rush, Vincent, his rip, he has a pull, he has an arm over, he has a twist, he has 3 or 4 very good moves that should help him get to the quarterback. And in my opinion, the more you know at an earlier age, the better off that will carry you in your professional level, even at the beginning when you start to learn and refine some of your techniques and get really good. But he has everything coming out of the box that you would want to have.
Go back to the Alabama game, the semifinal game in last year's college football playoffs. That game, I believe the Michigan defense sacked Jalen Merrill, I believe 6 or 7 times in that game. Go look at that film, Hawk. Who was the guy that was a game changer along the line of scrimmage? It was a young man right here, Mr. Mason Graham. Point of attack, going against linemen, he's hard to handle, my man. And he handles double teams, as you just mentioned, better than any tackle coming into the draft right now. This is a guy I'm very confident. Whichever team drafted him early that needed D tackle, he's going to be a game changer, and he's going to be a guy that's going to make your defensive better. Can I say something, Harp?
Go right ahead.
Terry Fontenot, Atlanta Falcons, Grady Jarrett is getting old in the tooth, and you didn't have nobody on the D line. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, David Omanyata may not be re-signed. There's a couple of reasons why you might save some money now by filling that spot. But you know what? To be candid, it depends on how you build your defense. If you build it from the front back, you mentioned the Jalen Mayro Alabama game. Remember, with the spider camera, you can actually be behind the quarterback, and you can see there's pressure coming up the middle. Here comes 55. Uh-oh, I can't go up the middle. I got to go to the outside. And that's where the speed that Michigan had last year made it very difficult to get out of that trap of pressure defensively. You have to be able to keep guys from going up the middle. And he's one of those guys that even on a twist, if they've got a tackle end twist or something like that, he gets around it very quickly and is able to put pressure on the quarterback. One other thing that I wanted to mention about him, he's very strong against the point of attack, but he's a hand fighter. He's really good. That's another thing that you got to teach a lot of guys. He already knows that. What I mean by that is when an offensive lineman tries to put his hands out on you to slow you down and to move you, if you have the ability to get his hands off of you and get closer to him, you have the advantage. And he's so good at doing that. He's got great leg strength, and his feet keep moving. The hockey player in me says, do you have churning legs? Do they keep moving, or do you stay in the same spot? He's a hard worker. He's a blue chip lunch pail type guy, but he does a fantastic job of getting pressure on the offensive lineman and ultimately on the quarterback during pass rushes. And those are just a couple of those things that jump out on film, not just to us, but to anybody that watches. Where do you think he goes, Vincent? Is he a high first rounder, a top 10 type guy, or is he kind of in the middle or later in the first round? What are you thinking?
My personal opinion, I think he's going to be a top 10 pick. I think he might be the best. He might be the number one defensive tackle off the board because of the competition he's played against and the school he's at. Obviously, he's a guy that can be coached at another level. And I go back, when I look at these prospects, I don't really take what all these other draft guys say. I look at the competition you played against. We're talking about Alabama. Look what he did in the national championship game, because obviously that's the best of the best, correct? And then what he did against Ohio State this year, his last game, well, leading up to the ball game, 7 tackles against Ohio State, a team that's red hot right now in the college football playoffs.
All right, since you're the number one prospect, do we worry about my 40 time at the combine? Because here's one of the things that I was thinking is maybe instead of 315, or let's be candid, near the end of the year, you're not running as much, it's not as hot. He could be 320. Does he drop down to 305 and run a 482 or 4.9, whatever his time is? Does he work on improving that? Or do you just go, no, I'm going in the weight room and I'm going to show everybody how strong I am, and I'm going to bench press 2.25, 36 times or whatever it is. I'm just going to assure that you may not be getting the fastest guy, but you're getting the strongest and the best athlete that's out there.
Me, personally, I never played at this level. You have, Hawk. Me looking as a fan and as what we're doing today, breaking down these players, I wouldn't want him to lose weight. I want him to get stronger inside. To me, I like a strong defensive tackle, because one thing about this guy right here, he's quick off the ball, and I don't think that'll slow him down any. I like to see him get stronger. That just means my defensive tackles coming in the lead. Buck Buchanan, he was quick, but he was strong. Joe Green, he was quick, but he was strong. You see what I'm saying? The guy you played with in Philadelphia, Reggie White, who I saw play high school basketball and play at Tennessee. He was quick, but what was he with that club move, Hawk? He was what? Strong.
He was strong. That's right. Jumpy Gathers was a guy that you look at him in a mirror and you go, there's no way this guy's a football player. He's got like 4% body fat at 295 pounds, and there's not a weight in any weight room that he can't move for you. 150-pound dumbbells, crazy strong dude. So I would say, baby fat or carry a little less of that type of weight, get stronger in your core, and it'll pay massive dividends for you. It's not the weight that you have, it's the strength that goes within it. Keep those knees in good shape and just be able to run from tackle to tackle, maybe tight end to tight end. You don't have to go sideline to sideline. Here's some of the things that Mason Graham has been recognized for. Last year, he was the second team All-American right, as a sophomore. This year is his junior year, and he's going to be coming out early. He was all Big Ten first team. In high school, he was a two-time champion, state champion in wrestling, and he was obviously recognized last year in the Rose Bowl during the national championship run that they have as the defensive MVP for the Michigan Wolverines. Any final thoughts that you have on Mason before we move on?
Excellent football player that's going to make somebody very happy on the D-line coming up in the 2025 NFL draft. Back to you, Hawk.
Yep, everybody seems to say this guy could be a Pro Bowler. He's got everything that you would need in order to get there, and your work is almost already done if you end up drafting him. So good luck to Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of the University of Michigan. So for Vincent Turner, I'm Harper LaBelle. We want to say thank you for tuning in to another one of the shorties, the little episode that we have to briefly look at some of the top prospects that are coming out in the 2025 NFL draft. So thank you, everybody, for being with us for an episode of 100 Yards of Football. We appreciate it. Have a fantastic day.